So
that's fine. So you've worked with quite a lot of characters, I presume. Have you had any kind of particular favourite? One that's been particularly...
I think the one that I fell in love with on Sean, who then went on to become a major hit in his own right, was Timmy, the little lamb Timmy.
Yeah.
And again, in one of our very early sort of development scripts, just like, oh, what if Sean's got, but he's not a kid brother, but just like the baby lamb of the flock, what if he's there and he's always getting into trouble and Sean's got to rescue him? And that was quite interesting again, because you think Sean actually had that role in the original film, and we've kind of aged Sean up, and Timmy's kind of come in to be sort of the new Sean. And in fact, when you look at a series like Frasier, character Frasier originally appeared in Friends, and he was very obnoxious in Friends. When they gave him his own series, he had to be nicer, so they brought in Niles, his brother, to be the obnoxious one, and Niles was actually the character of Frasier from Cheers. So it's kind of a comparable thing there. You know, you need to kind of take the characters a bit further when you turn them into a fully fledged series. So yeah, we had Timmy, this absolutely cute, absolutely adorable little lamb. It was quite interesting, when we first started working on Sean, the word from our marketing department was they wanted Sean to be in his own preschool series, so aimed at kind of 3, 4, 5-year-olds. Yeah. And as soon as we started working on the series, that didn't feel right. We tried to write some series like that, and we showed the scripts to Nick Park. And Nick said, well, the trouble is, like, you know, these just aren't cool, and Sean's actually a cool character. And we talked about it and thought, well, actually, yes. And this is where we thought, he really is, probably needs to be kind of a 6, 7, 8-year-old. So we actually aged the series up, and we aimed it more at sort of 6 to 11-year-olds, where it's been a great success. But then we had little Timmy, and at the same time, Jackie Cockle, a very experienced preschool producer who worked at Cosgrove Hall, and she worked on Bob the Builder for many years, she joined Aardman with a view to creating some preschool shows for us. So we showed her Timmy, and we said, do you think you could actually give him his own series? And she said, oh yes, I think I can. And so we then spun Timmy off into his own series, which is now Timmy Time, that's on CBeebies at the moment. Started in April of this year and is proving very successful. Completely different show to Wallace and Gromit or to Shaun the Sheep. It's very much aimed at 2, 3-year-olds, very simple little life stories with Timmy and all his little animal friends in their nursery. So yeah, he's probably one of the firm favourite, and it's lovely to actually be kind of doing a full series based on him now.
It's quite interesting, as you say, like you'll start off with one thing, and then you'll pick up on another character, and it just leads on and on and on, like you say. And you get into more depth with the characters themselves, I would
Absolutely.
suppose.
I mean, not every character has that in them, you know. Yeah. I think we thought maybe Fluffles from The Matter of Loaf and Death in the early days, thought, is she going to kind of turn out to be another Sean? But she's got a great role in that, and people love her, but I'm not sure she's a character we'd actually spin off into her own series. I may be wrong, we may end up doing that next year, who knows. So yeah, not every character's kind of got what it takes, but I think it's when A, people find something cute, but B, when I think there's something in a character that they can recognise in themselves, or in the case of Timmy, they'd probably think, oh my God, that's just how I was when I was 3, or I've seen that in my own 3-year-olds. So I think there's got to be that little spark of recognition that makes it a character that then it's easier to tell stories about, because you can just relate them to your own experience.
Yeah, I mean, is there anyone else in particular we've got anything to say about over here?
Well, we have the very, very malevolent Feathers McGraw from The Wrong Trousers. What's interesting about this is, I mean, although I come very much from a theatre directing and then a writing background, most of the people at Aardman come from a visual background. And Nick Park, in particular, won't sit down with a typewriter and knock out a script. He'll sit down with a sketch pad, and over the years, he'll sketch lots of little absurd characters. Yeah. And one of the things he had in his sketchbook for many years was a penguin with a rubber glove on its head. No explanation, no reason. He just drew it because it amused him. And when the story for Wrong Trousers was developed, and this was several years before I joined Aardman, they kind of took various images and tried to pull them together. And, well, there was a penguin disguised as a chicken, so why is he in disguise? Well, maybe he's a master criminal and he's got to disguise himself for that. And the whole story of the diamond heist and everything kind of escalated from that. So I think that's quite interesting about how you come up with a character for animation as opposed to maybe for a play or for a novel, that it is as much, if not more, from the visuals as it is from the written side of the work. Here we have half of a Gromit. I'm sorry if this is freaking children out. If I put him that way, he's cute and lovable. If I put him that way, you see how it's really done and that we have all these steel armatures inside the character. But here's Gromit. In a way, I think he's probably the purest Aardman character in that he never speaks. He's actually, if you look, a very, very simple design. There's no mouth, there's a brow, there's ears. The nose doesn't kind of do much. I mean, that part of the face hardly moves at all. It really is just in the eyes and the expression of the brow and maybe how we position the ears that we get his character. And we get reviews. I think the New York Times, when we did the Wallace and Gromit feature film, said that he was up there with Buster Keaton as one of the greatest, silent actors of all time. our animators fall about laughing when they kind of hear this, because he's such a simple puppet to animate. There's very few things you can actually do with Gromit. But I think because the storytelling is so good, because Nick's sense of story, of character is so great, that actually the viewer invests so much emotion and so much character into Wallace. It's not into Gromit. It's not all just in the animation. It's in what people bring to the animation. Yeah. And in a way, that's kind of the key to our art, that with one hand, what you've got on screen is incredibly simple and straightforward, but at the same time, there's just so much emotional resonance there that people kind of project their own lives and their own thoughts and their own feelings into the characters. And I think that's why they are enduring characters, and why, people all over the world love the work that we do, which is very rewarding.
I mean, you kind of mentioned earlier how the characters seem to develop themselves. Would you say that's kind of true? The characters kind of find their own way in somewhat?
Yes, I think so. And lots of people kind of have input into that. Obviously, the writer will sort of come up with a storyline, but often the moments that you remember are going to be things that weren't even in the script, because the individual animator will just bring little twists and turns to it. It's very important when you have animation to have a great voice. And I mean, with Peter Sallis for Wallace, we're kind of so lucky. We always record the voices first, so that when the animators are animating, they can hear the actor deliver the line. And in fact, Wallace's mouth, we don't have a Wallace here to show, but the whole shape of Wallace's mouth developed from the way that Peter Sallis said, cheese. And when you say cheese like that, you've got to get a mouth that can go really kind of wide with all those teeth to really get cheese there. So yeah, I mean, the animators make a contribution, the voice actors make a contribution. But everyone's buying into the same idea of a character. Yeah, so in a way, it's the kind of the character concept itself that leads the whole process in a very strange way.
And it's very much kind of like, it's not a one-person effort, I would say. You've mentioned the animators and everyone puts something in to kind of make this character.
Absolutely. It's a very, very major team effort. I mean, currently at Aardman, we have, I think, 430 people working there. And we've got a lot on at the moment. We've got 2 TV shows in production, Shaun the Sheep and Timmy Time. We've got a couple of feature films in pre-production. We make a lot of commercials as well, so we've got people working on the commercials. So yes, we've got a vast array of people with different skills and different crafts. And also there's a lovely kind of community of craftsmen around Bristol who will work on us. I mean, if you ever see a milk bottle in an episode, there's actually a little glass blower in Bristol who's now the world's expert in miniature glass blowing in the world, because he used to produce so many little bottles and glasses and things for us. Yeah. And he'll blow the glass to produce a milk bottle that's just that big. So there's an awful lot of people that do contribute. The directors are really the key people that have the overall vision that everyone works to and that have the ideas. So Nick Park on the Wallace and Gromits, Peter Lord on Morph. Some of Nick's characters will then be put into the hands of other directors. Richard Goliowski did the TV series of Creature Comforts and of Shaun the Sheep, so he'll kind of broaden Nick's vision and take it a stage further. And then he has his own characters, such as Rex the Rump that we made for the BBC a few years ago. But yeah, the director is really the key person that leads it, but they'll just draw on bringing everyone's talents together.
So I mean, for you, it's quite your personal experience. I mean, how's it been just in general? I mean, sum it up in a word maybe.
Fun. In a word, fun has to be the main word. There's probably other 4-letter words I could use as well at times. It all looks great when it's on screen, but often there's quite a lot of, nitty-gritty that goes into the process.
But definitely worth it at the end?
Oh, definitely worth it, yeah. And when you see the reaction that people have to the work, it's just fantastic.
I think